Twitter has shown it can't protect its users and stop trolls. Despite all its policy changes, Twitter still has an issue with trolls. Comedian Leslie Jones, one of the new Ghostbusters, is the latest to learn about the ugly side of the Twitterverse. The SNL cast member this week that left many asking, when will Twitter really crack down on hate speech and other forms of harassment? This is not the first time a celebrity, or a group of people are discriminated against or emotionally abused on Twitter. It's also not the first time that Twitter is forced to address its harassment policy and banning procedures. Twitter has implemented various over the past 3 years that were supposed to help combat and potentially end harassment, racist tweets and even revenge porn. However, none of its quality filters have decreased the amount of hate that exists in the microblogging site. Here's a timeline of all the events that forced Twitter to change its policy and how it's failed to protect its users against harassment. 2013, the Report Abuse button is introduced, said Twitter's battle against harassment and internet trolls when 2 UK feminists received several rape threats from a 21-year-old man. Labour MP Stella Creasy and campaigner Caroline Criado-Perez immediately made headlines when they reported the tweets to the police and inspired an online petition with nearly 60,000 signatures asking Twitter to review its procedures. Since the news blew up, Twitter scrambled to add a Report Abuse button right next to the Report Spam button to make it easier to flag inappropriate behavior online. Additionally, the company changed its online rules by adding a few lines on harassment: "You may not incite or engage in the targeted abuse or harassment of others." The rule reads, "Some of the factors that we may consider when evaluating abusive behavior include, if a primary purpose of the reported account is to harass or send abusive messages to others, if the reported behavior is one-sided or includes threats, if the reported account is inciting others to harass another account, and if the reported account is sending harassing messages to an account from multiple accounts." 2014, Twitter implements better blocking tools after Zelda Williams and Gamergate harassment. Report Abuse button was not enough to stop misogynistic and insensitive trolls, though. In August, Zelda Williams, the daughter of late actor Robin Williams, was the victim of an array of cruelty following his suicide. The abuse eventually led Williams to quit Twitter and force the social network to review its policy. This was one of the first times Twitter said it wouldn't tolerate abuse of this nature and that it would improve support for family members of deceased users. However, Williams was not the only one who was harassed in 2014. In October, erupted and caused harm to many female gamers that received rape and death threats for simply liking video games. After months of Gamergate being on the news and women being perpetually harassed, Twitter eventually, in December, the reporting tool made it easier to flag abusive tweets without having to fill out a that was previously required, and the blocking tool was also redesigned to make it more intuitive. 2015, Twitter admits its issue with trolls, releases a quality filter for verified users and bans revenge porn following the Gamergate and the hashtag following the leaked nude photos of actresses. Former CEO Dick that the microblogging site sucks at dealing with abuse and trolls. Following that statement, Twitter announced new tools and policy changes in March that would better combat online harassment. The first policy change was Twitter changed its rules by adding the line that read, "Intimate photos or videos that were taken or distributed without the subject's consent are banned." A few days later, Twitter introduced a feature that lets users do local law enforcement, which would have been ideal to have during Gamergate. To top off all its new features, the company that could remove all timeline tweets containing threats, offensive or abusive language, or any tweets sent from suspicious accounts. The quality filter should have helped Jones combat some of the harassment she dealt with, but it's unclear if she had the feature on. The quality filter only works when it's enabled in settings. Following the release of the quality filter, Twitter to reflect the company's intention to help combat abusive tweets. Our previous policy was unduly narrow and limited our ability to act on certain kinds of threatening behavior, the company's blog read. The updated language better describes the range of prohibited content and our intention to act when users step over the line into abuse. This option gives us leverage in a variety of contexts, particularly where multiple users begin harassing a particular person or group of people, the blog added. The updated policy made it easier for Twitter to lock abusive accounts without permission rather than just asking users to delete offensive tweets, which is what the company did in Jones' case. 2016, Twitter launches Trust and Safety Council to make users feel safe in its attempt to making the internet a safer place. Twitter to ensure that users felt safe expressing themselves. The council is made up of 40 experts from different organizations that will all be focusing on preventing bullying, abuse and suicide. Some of the organizations involved include GLAAD, ChildNet, the Anti-Defamation League and the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Now, 5 months later and handful of changes, Twitter is once again under fire for letting hate speech circulate the web and force people such as Jones quit tweeting. "I leave Twitter tonight with tears and a very sad heart," Jones wrote in her last tweet. "All this 'cause I did a movie. You can hate the movie, but I got today wrong." The hate she received was bad enough that CEO Jack Dorsey had to tweet at her personal and ask her to send him a direct message. However, not every user will receive the same treatment and get their situation fixed by Twitter CEO. In a statement to the Daily News, Twitter said it's once again looking at ways to improve and help users such as Jones in awful situations. "We rely on people to report this type of behavior to us, but we are continuing to invest heavily in improving our tools and enforcement systems to prevent this kind of abuse," the spokesperson said. "We realize we still have a lot of work in front of us before Twitter is where it should be on how we handle these issues.